Just feel like I have to sneeze, just trying to wait it out.
Yeah, nothing worse than losing a sneeze.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know, I guess he's a little shy. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I am Reuben, here with Aaron, and we are back to review The Penguin, Episode 8, the season finale. This was a wild episode, but before we get into that, I want to let you guys know that you can listen to this wherever you get your podcasts, on all podcasting platforms, and make sure you follow us on social medias at Nerd Soup, at Beau Soup, at Nerd Soup Monkey, and check out our Patreon page if you want some extra soup podcast. However, do not subscribe on the Apple App Store because they're snakes and
What they do?
they're literally taking 30% of every pledge. It's
on
ridiculous.
Patreon?
Yeah.
But subscribe to the podcast on Apple, not the Patreon.
Yes. Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. Just do not sign up for the Patreon on the App Store. Anywhere else, desktop, Android, that's fine.
Oh, the Patreon.
Lena Khan. Yeah.
Okay.
Shout out to Lena Khan. Got to break these bitches up. And yeah, I guess that's really it. Aaron, how's it going? How's it going in Aaron world?
Not too bad. I just went absolutely insane on some leftover lasagna before this. So
Okay, very Garfield of you.
I love my Garfield shit.
Yeah. Who's Garfield's buddy? Who's the dog?
I know John's the dad. Who's the dog? Ollie?
Oh, Odie.
Odie.
Good dog name. They're a fun duo because Garfield always acts like he doesn't like Odie, but when push comes to shove, that's his buddy.
Yeah. And he hates Mondays. It's relatable.
Oh, I didn't realize that was a Garfield thing. Well, real original Garfield.
And he started it. That's why people started hating on Mondays. Garfield brought
You think
attention
so?
to it. Yeah.
Mondays were beloved. Like, oh, start the week, refreshed after the weekend.
And Garfield made everybody realize, it's like, wait, this actually fucking sucks. I wish it was Wednesday.
Garfield's a Bolshevik, yo. That's crazy. All right, well, let's get into the episode. I could talk about Garfield all day, but we're here to talk about another animal, the penguin. Episode 8, A Great or Little Thing. Well, I'll say this, because this is a spoiler review. It's right there in the title. What I want in Batman Part 2, if Penguin is going to be the villain, as much as I love Matt Reeves, push him out, bring in Zack Snyder. Okay? PG-13 rating? No, thank you. Needs to be rated R. No kill rule? Stupid. Outdated. Totally reject it. You can do whatever you want, Mr. Snyder. Okay? He can kill as many people as he wants until he gets to the Penguin, and then you bury that motherfucker. I don't even know where, but somewhere fucking where he's going to be haunted for the rest of his existence. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
Counterpoint.
Fuck him.
Do you want a good Batman Part 2? Because you'll get it with Snyder, baby. Bring him back.
Bring back Zach. Bring back Zach.
Oh, it was so funny. People saying can't wait to get the Arkham Asylum 3-piece combo. Just fucking
Dude.
bury him into the ground.
It really is like the opening thing you do is Batman in Arkham City is just punch Penguin. That's what I want the opening scene
And
about.
I got no beef for that Penguin.
No, that Penguin, yeah. He seemed like a fine regular fella. Batman just ran up on him unprovoked. We've been provoked.
Yeah, and I'm kind of caught in between. I think it's good storytelling, and I think it's actually like a great ending for that character. But in my own head, because I was still pulling for him, even after all his negative attributes just kept piling up over the course of the season, I still like, all right, well, but Vic's his boy. He's not going to turn on Vic. And that was kind of like the last bit of humanity he had. And he just snuffed it out. And I could see it coming. I'm still like, no, I believed in you, P.
Oh, not P. You hoit me with this.
I still love the cat. Yeah, and I still love the character. I think it's a great character, and I can't wait to see him in Batman Part 2. But 100%, like, you can't root for that guy anymore.
No, yeah. I mean, from a writing standpoint, I almost felt a little naive for not seeing this coming. It just makes sense. Because we kept thinking, oh, if he sells out Vic in one way or another, it's going to make him so hateable and unlikable, even though you've kind of been rooting for him. But to do it in a way that is just so, like, his reasoning for it, I've even seen people try to justify it, like it was a necessary evil because he cares about Vic so much, and if somebody was to kidnap him and torture him, he just couldn't take it anymore. Like, yo.
When you put it that way, it's kind of sweet.
Right, yeah. But no, it's just a genius move because as soon as Vic dug his own grave as soon as he called him family. Right there, he was just like, this is just a weak link. This is something that could be used against me. I don't know if he would actually truly be hurt by somebody else taking out Vic. Probably, but probably more of an ego thing, as that was my guy and you took him out. I see that more as just disrespecting me if you think you can come after my people. But yeah, for him to just snuff this guy out that way was, the whole episode had a lot of elements of psychological horror, but just having to sit with that scene and watching the life being squeezed out of him by his father figure is beyond disturbing.
No, it's like, and Vic also like put the team on his back before that.
Oh, I know.
They were down 3-0, and he took him. He brought him to 7 and put game 7 on his shoulders.
The move with Zal, that was a great move.
Yeah, Penguin got carried by Vic.
It was funny though, because when Vic tried to do the speech in the beginning, I was like, he thinks he's him. He thinks he's Penguin, and nobody was going for it. They're just like, "Yo, kid, shut up." And that's what we were discussing too, is that Vic, outside of episode 3, his track record has been pretty perfect, where everything Penguin asks him to do, he does it. And this is probably the pinnacle of that.
But I was so proud of him too. Not only like setting this all up, but when he pulled the gun on Sophia, I'm like, yeah, okay, Vic.
Yeah.
You're playing with the big boys now. You ain't a kid no more. And then that was his peak. But I think the Red Hood theory is still in play. Vic might not be dead. He's going to come back. He's going to come back pissed. Changed man.
Dude, yeah, because Vic, he was willing to go to the lengths of being a criminal and pulling guns on people and beating people up, but there was still the kid inside of him. There was that naivete of looking up to Penguin and wanting to be a good son to him, essentially, to make your father proud. But yeah, knowing that he can go dark, and then he would also have this but he would have a reason for wanting to get vengeance on Penguin. I don't hate the idea of bringing him back to life. A part of me doesn't want that to happen because I think it's just such a, really dark and bleak ending. And it's something that you really don't get in the superhero genre, where they embrace the idea of creating a villain and never deviating from that path, never giving him any sort of redemption in the end. And I guess it wouldn't really take away from that if Vic is still alive and he comes back as Red Hood in a movie, but I kind of want to keep it as it is.
Yeah, I think they left it. Who knows if we'll get a season 2. Other series have been rumored for this Batman universe, the same limited series HBO show. So, there's a number of ways you can further explore this world, whether it be with the Penguin season 2 or spin-off with Sophia and Selena, something like that. They left it open-ended in a way where, Penguin's obviously going to be in Batman Part 2 as what looks like the king of the Gotham underworld. But there's probably still so much you can explore just within this little vacuum as well. So I think it did a perfect job as a spin-off series to help build the world and set up future projects within the movies, and if you want to do other series as well.
Yeah, and this ending makes it almost impossible to go back and watch it from the beginning, because the emotional baggage you're going to be carrying around while you're watching Vic, watching him come into his own, trying to earn his place in this world as Penguin's number 2. And knowing that he dies as an unidentified body, his ID being thrown in the river. And I saw this point being made online that where these 3 characters end, Francis, Sophia, and Vic, it's the things that they feared most that ends up happening to them. Where Vic, as I said, he's being told all these lies by Penguin throughout the show of how he can become a street legend and people will never forget his name. And then he's going to die as just a regular nobody from Crown Point. Sophia obviously was traumatized during her time at Arkham, and that's where she finds herself in the end, right back where the horrors started for her. And she has no freedom. She's back under the supervision of Julian Rush and the other doctors at Arkham. And then for Frances, she's in a state where all she can do is watch the son that she hates, the son that she considers the devil. She can't say anything. She can't do anything. She can only observe. So she's stuck watching this monster that she helped create for the rest of her time on Earth. And, it's genius because the relationship between Oz and Francis throughout the series was one of the strongest aspects keeping you sympathetic towards Oz. That, yeah, he's a terrible person, he's a sociopath, but at least he cares about his mom. And then this episode, they just pull the rug completely out from under you. The emotional connection between those characters is nothing more than Oz's own narcissism and delusion. Because for him, he doesn't care about her well-being, that she's safe, that she's protected, but that she's alive and able to give him the approval that he craves. This sick obsession that he has with his mother's approval.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it last week, but I think further like diving into some of the points we made and what they laid out in the last episode with Penguin's upbringing and where he kind of is psychologically, we noticed right away, like his mom wasn't a bad mom to him. It seems like they were just a fine functioning family unit where you could tell that she loved all her children, but just that need, whether it be from not having a father figure or wanting to be more than what he is, to see his brothers as threats rather than allies and get rid of them in the way that he did, and just carrying that with him, whether it be always trying to get the approval of his mother or making a name for himself, not because how Vic laid it out that he's a legend because he put the lights back on in Crown Point and is giving people a chance, and he's not looking over certain people because they're not a high enough status. I mean, it's just been laid out so perfectly where he just might be the biggest narcissist ever to grace the screen and TV or movies, because he really is just all for himself. And I don't even think he cares that his mom was put in that position, or we saw his hesitancy to tell the truth even when they were going to take his finger off. But like at the end of the day, it's not him caring for his mom. It's what he wants out of his mother, which is praise and to be told that she's proud of him and that he did a good job. All self-suiting words of endearment or encouragement to further feed into his narcissism. On one hand, it's like, yeah, maybe he had a special relationship with Vic that he couldn't stand to have him caught into the crossfires or people use him against him. But at the end of the day, I just feel like he might just know too much and he sees him as a threat potentially down the line. And it's easier if I just get rid of him right here and right now and go on and start the reign of King Penguin the First.
Yeah, in his mind, he looks at Vic and he thinks, you're a vulnerability for me because you've seen me at my lowest and you can use that against me, maybe take my position. Because we saw it was like very similar to the baptism scene in Godfather, where it's all these number twos taking out the heads of the family so that this new head can solidify his position. And with Vic, like I said, it's either you take my spot or eventually somebody uses you to get to me, so I might as well take you out. But your point about him not wanting to even tell the truth about what he did to his brothers when his mom is facing, death and torture is pathological sociopath. I mean, that was Sophia's look when he just won't admit. It's not even that he is lying. I truly believe he believes he didn't do that because of where he's probably compartmentalized it in his own mind, where it's just so far in the depths of his psyche. Where, no, I was with my mom that entire night. That's how fucking disturbed and delusional this guy is. And you said it, it's not so much about taking care of his mom, but it's about having her there so that she can heap this praise on him, so that she could be proud of him, so that he keeps his promise to her. And we see it at the very end, that final scene with Eve. First of all, Eve is, right after Penguin, she's probably the most fucked up character in this whole show because she's willing to play this role as Penguin's new mother just because it keeps her safe and it keeps her near and close to power. So she's willing to put up with this guy who's an absolute lunatic because of what he can offer her. But yeah, talk about mommy issues. The dynamic becomes where Frances becomes a total victim, where at first we were like, not total victim, but in terms of the dynamic she has with Oz, where at first we were like, how is she manipulating him into doing this? But God, man, what that kid put her through, he really is the devil.
No. And I mean, like when Sophia kind of broke it down for them in that scene.
Dude, her face when Oz just won't tell the truth, she goes from like angry to scared. Like, what am I dealing with exactly here?
Well, and it's funny how that bird story was a complete metaphor for what actually happened.
Oh, yeah, right.
Did you catch
Very
that?
convenient.
Did you pick up on that? Yeah.
I was like, there's no way that fucking happened to you guys as children. You're lying too.
40-minute video essay.
There was no Boyd.
Yeah, I heard discuss. Fucking hate that. But yeah, the way her discuss, like just being like, I don't know what's worse, what Penguin did, or the mother looking a blind eye, or like her two options being, look to holding him with zero accountability or just killing the kid.
Right. Yeah.
Which I don't know. I feel like there's a third option he left out, like maybe like child psychologist. That would have been my option number one. Then maybe murder.
Child psychologist. It ends up being Julian Rush.
Yeah. Turns into him an absolute fucking weapon. But it was pretty funny when he was kind of like saying like, it's like, oh, like how he can use guys like that in his line of work.
Oh, dude, Rex Calabrese was in her kitchen like an Alabama football recruiter. Like, your kid's got real talent here, you know? I looked over the
like
tape.
Nick Saban going up to going to a 6'3", fucking 220-pound 14-year-old from Texas.
Yeah. Like, I could see Dahmer in his future, Manson, maybe even El Chapo. You know, he's just not ruthless, but he's capable too. You know, he understands the logistics of the game. And Francis was like,
"Yeah, if NIL now,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm talking big money coming your way."
Yeah, no, it was. He saw. It's like, well, what do you say? Like, some people just want to make quick money, or like the ones who are looking for a father figure. Like, just how it just shows how people can manipulate others based on what they're missing and what they can provide on a surface level to get them to do what they want or benefit each other.
Yeah, just
although it never works.
Exploiting their trauma. And that's even what Sophia is trying to do, where she's using Rush to go through Francis's memories. And I thought the way that was directed was pretty brilliant, where she's starting to break through the sort of hypnosis and she sees Rush and Sophia looking at her. And then you go back into the memory with young Penguin, who was awesome, and her having this decision whether or not she's going to kill the kid. And her performance in this episode, I think Colin Farrell, this was probably the best he's been, and all season Francis has been great, but she was really terrific in this episode.
Now I'm just thinking of Rex in like a Moneyball scene. Father shot when he was 2, mom addicted to drugs.
5-tool fucking recruit.
Yeah. The different tools for sending a couple scouts to the orphanage.
He would be so pissed if he saw what Penguin did to Vic. All that wasted potential.
Yeah. Although Vic's he's got some soft spots, you know. He's still raw. Tons of potential, but he needs to sit a couple of years.
Red shirt him.
Yeah. Red Hood him.
Yeah, no, he's coming back as Red Hood.
Yeah.
Or Dead Hood.
But yeah, like you said, all the performances have been so good throughout the series, and you could tell that like the way they've grown with these characters through these 8 episodes, you can make the argument for like career best out of a lot of them. It's hard to say with Colin Farrell because he's just been doing it for so long, but I think one of the more fun roles he's had where he can literally just become a different person. You know, I feel like there has to be something to that mentally when you either put on a ton of makeup or kind of transform yourself, where you can buy in more to you're just a completely different person.
Right. Yeah.
From the moment you walk on set.
I think it helps.
And like they didn't even tell him to do an accent. He just put the suit on and he's like, yeah, this feels right.
Yeah.
I think that scene when she brings him to the old restaurant or whatever it was, the old club, where she made that decision to let her son live and basically bury all that trauma, and having that moment take place in that setting, and just having all that come out and seeing how all these different characters reacted to the information was definitely probably a standout of the entire season.
Yeah, and this scene, you know, it ties together a few different elements of the show pretty nicely in ways where it makes sense that they would go digging for this information, because Sophia wants to hurt Penguin. It's not all about just killing him, but it's about traumatizing him and torturing him like she was tortured in Arkham. And also his mother, forcing him to admit to his mother that he was the one who killed his brothers. And then realizing how fucked up Francis is when she says, I knew the whole time. I buried it deep down. So just using, you know, Rush's ability with psychology to essentially walk through the memories of Francis like Professor X was it was just really well executed. And then, you know, Colin Farrell as Penguin in this episode, it's like he's hitting on every possible emotion. When he's tied up, he's terrified, he's seeing his mom, he's furious, he's full of rage, and then he's scared when Sophia is bringing up these dark secrets. When he's with the the councilman, he's classic Penguin, as charismatic and convincing and charming as ever. The final scene with Vic, he's a total monstrosity of a human being. When he's crying over his mother's body, he's like a little kid again. This was just like the full emotional spectrum on display here from Colin Farrell. And a lot of times the makeup and the suits, it's almost like people praise it because they look different and the performance isn't actually that good. But for him, it's not just the makeup. It's not just the transformation. He embodies his character in ways that you can't fake it. That is true, raw emotion that he's bringing to this character in so many different ways and so many different angles. So yeah, but that scene when he's tied up, it was hard to watch, honestly. And you feel so bad for the character of Frances, even though, you know, she is complicit to an extent. But Deirdre O'Connell, who's worked on TV and in films as a character actress for a long time, for her to, you know, get a role like this later in her career, it's awesome. And I think her performance, you know, in terms of matching the emotional weight of what Colin Farrell was bringing to this character, she's right there with him. And then Kristen Milioti, Sophia Falcone, I was like, yo, don't shoot her in the back of the head. She's too pretty. She's too pretty to die that way.
I've never seen that scarf move before. Big fan of it. I was like tucked in to her shirt.
Yeah, that was nice. I like that.
I didn't even know you could do that with a scarf.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that. But she's another one where she, in a blink of an eye, she goes from the cockiest, biggest asshole on the screen, and then she can change to, you know, just being absolutely terrified of the monster in front of her.
It's like for my whole life, when you ask me if I could be anyone in like DC Comics, I'd always say Batman. Now I just want to be Sophia Scarf.
Yeah, that's a good one.
She's been fun to watch because, especially compared to Penguin, where you're kind of having, like, they both start at complete opposites when you think of audience perception, and there's a point where they kind of cross where they're on the same level, and then, you know, towards the second half it switches a little bit. And I mean, she still had some great moments. I mean, her burning down the house with the cigarettes, just completely ready to abandon her old life. But it's just that one thing in the Penguin that she can't seem to let go. And that ends up being her downfall, because for the most part, she has been, for, you know, in the scope of this world, not the villain of this story. They've done a good job of making her complex, where you do see where she's coming from and are actually rooting for her by a certain point. But it's that inability to let that go, the one thing in her past, even though she's trying to erase everything else, that kind of brings her back down to their level, where she, as much as she tries to do the quote unquote right thing in this situation and be a good person, it just can't happen. And that's kind of where it all falls apart for her.
Yeah, it's similar to the lessons Batman has to learn in the first movie, where vengeance isn't going to bring back what you've lost. And I think for Sophia, she's had several opportunities to turn her back on this life and be free. But it's that trauma. She can't let go of what not only her family did to her, but what Oz did to her. So there are better ways to go about bringing down Oz, but she wanted to make it personal. And in the end, that just leaves her in the worst possible position, back in Arkham, back in the place that turned her into a victim and traumatized her for life, left her with this hole inside of her. And it's such a sad ending for a character like that, because it's such an emotional performance where, as you said, you're rooting for her, but there's points where you're not sure what to believe about her. Is she good? Is she bad? Is she crazy? And then in the end, it's just right back where it started. So I don't know where they're going with that character, because we see the letter that she gets from Selina Kyle, and I know that there's been rumors that she's going to come back for Batman 2, but I imagine she's going to play a role in Batman trying to bring down Oz, which is kind of awesome, right? Because they've set him up as the perfect villain. Everybody hates him, unless you're a psychopath. I'm sure it's like the 1% out there that still like Oz. They're like, I always hated Vic. I always thought he was dead weight. But yeah, now they're going to, I imagine Batman's going to visit her in Arkham, get the truth about this situation, because Penguin was able to frame her for what she did with the car bomb. That was so funny too, dude. When he's in the hospital, he's like, oh, look, that's all the shit that I fed them, Ma. Fucking asshole. But yeah, really just a sad ending for this character. I thought she was going to lose her life, and that was going to be the thing that makes you hate Oz, but it ends up being worse. What's worse than death? Being imprisoned.
No, I think Vic is definitely worse because like you can like Sophia, but you can still understand like if that's supposed to be the big moment where he's truly a villain now. I think there's too much there where you can justify Oz's action. There's
Right.
the gang war that happens, and when Oz does kind of flip the switch on Sophia, it's kind of a mix. Like you feel bad for Sophia, but it's also an awesome moment for Oz.
Dude, all the memes about
So
Penguin being able to wiggle out of situations have been so funny. Everyone's like, there's no way this fat guy with a bad leg was able to so quietly remove himself from that situation so that all the cops show up when she turns around. Like, yo, you're not that quiet, big boy. We've heard your steps before.
well, I like the way he kind of like broke out of that chair and stuff like that. Like,
Oh, that was so funny, dude. Just literally threw his mom over his back and started blasting.
while with the big stab wound. That's why it's still a comic book show.
Right,
Like
yeah.
even the human characters have these weird traits about them where like they can still do some pretty superhuman shit,
No, I don't hate it whatsoever. And even Sophia coming out of the theater and shooting her gun in broad daylight. And nobody's calling the cops. It looks like a residential area. I don't mind that stuff.
Gordon fucking he was a little late with that bat switch, huh?
Just no, we're watching you. We're not going to do anything, but we see you.
Love Batman. The idea he just doesn't like he has no idea. Like he's just holed up playing like fucking Age of Empires or something. Watching fucking Minecraft streams until that light comes on. He has no access to the outside world.
He's a fan of speed.
Yeah. Thanks for the donation, not Bruce Wayne.
No, I mean that was the perfect way to end it because we kept thinking, we kept wondering if Gordon was going to be in it or possibly even a small cameo for Batman. But the bat signal at this point is everything about Batman is so iconic. Like even the bat signal, you're like, oh shit, that's a Batman light.
It really is the best. I wish this was like the DC.
I know, dude.
It's cool that it's own little pocket universe, but like there's so much potential. Just in Gotham alone.
You know what I really wanted? I wanted like someone to mention just to throw away, like, if somebody like bought something expensive, like, oh, who do you think you are? Lex Luthor? I thought that would have been fun. Or other DC references to other cities and characters. We don't have to see them, but I felt like there was some room there to throw in those references.
I always hate like they did this in Daredevil on Netflix a lot when they would reference characters without referencing characters.
Oh, right, like the green guy.
Yeah, the green or the flag waver. I find that shit so. Just say fucking Hulk. Penguin's like, oh, be careful. That guy with the light up eyes is gonna come flying around.
Did he say that?
Superman. No.
Oh, I was gonna say, oh, man, that would have got me really excited.
Yeah, no, I would have fucking lost my shit.
Are you kidding me?
That'd have been sick.
But you know what was really fucked up too, dude? When Penguin takes Sophia on that ride, it was very reminiscent of how he used to drive her around back in the day, and then bringing her to her final demise. So it's not only that he gets the leg up on her, he's going to win this drug war, but like Sophia was trying to make it personal for him, there's a bit of psychological torture there, reminding her of what things used to be when you were imprisoned in Arkham and how things are going to be again. So it's not just winning, but it's pouring salt in the wound, and that's what makes him such a great villain.
Yeah, it's not like he just comes across as someone like just winning isn't enough for him.
Yeah, even with Maroni, you're given the gift of this guy having a heart attack in the middle of your fight, a fight that you were losing, and he's like upset. He's like, what the fuck is this? This guy didn't take his heart medication?
I thought we were gonna get Mayor Penguin for a second.
Bro, when he looked over at Mayor Real, I was like, I love that, dude. When the person who's publicly in power and then the kingpin in the shadows where they don't even, she doesn't even realize that he's there and what he's doing. Like, I just became your biggest adversary and you have no idea who I am. I always love moments like that.
Yeah, and those are fun cameos too. Like we talked about, it would be cool to get all the big names from the Batman movie and characters that we recognize, but little glimpses of the Captain. I think she was on television once, and then just that little moment where she doesn't even have any real dialogue off into the distance.
Right.
But like, oh yeah, that's the mayor from Batman.
Yeah, dude. And honestly, Vic hyping up Penguin when he was bleeding out in the closet, I hate that now. He gave him such a heartfelt speech, talking him up like, get out there and just do what you do, be you. And I was like, yeah, yo, like, talk this man up. We got some fucking business. Oh, shit, he's strangling Vic to death. God, I wish he could take back every word. poor kid should have just left with that girl. I'm sure in his final moments, that's
Yeah.
what he was thinking of. Like, fuck, I should have got on that stinky ass bus.
Oh yeah, looking back in hindsight, if you're reviewing the tape, I think you go on that bus. But it's like, it's just like this thought never crossed his mind to be like, well, without Vic, I would have died like 3 times already. And he put me in the position that I am now. God, fuck, I gotta kill this kid.
What's so fucked up about Vic not leaving is not only did he have this chance to escape, but when he stays, he immediately puts his life on the line for Penguin. He does the most dramatic, out-of-pocket shit ever. He takes this risk. He just rams his car into these people that have guns on Penguin, and not even that is rewarded in the end. And when Penguin telling him like it wasn't for nothing, and like you're a good man. How quickly he went from kid to man in that moment. When I've got you strangled, you're a man. You're an adult now. So I mean, justice for Vic. School walkout for Vic this Friday.
Yeah, do you see the Batman account trolling?
Dude, that's so fucked up. Come on, man. I love how they're having fun with this shit, though.
Yeah, I think it's a good change of pace, especially for like the superhero genre in general. But like, I don't know. I think people are tired of like every villain getting this sympathetic backstory. No, they're not really a bad guy. It's like sometimes your bad guys are just fucking bad guys, and that's why they're bad guys.
Yeah, I love that they didn't, in no way, shape, or form, did they try to make this guy sympathetic in the end. At times, they were playing with the idea, but in the end, he's a villain. And that was the point of the show, is to make the most hateable, despicable supervillain out there for Batman to go up against. And mission accomplished. And it shows that you don't need redemption in the end in order to make a story like this. That people can just be bad, and their reasons for it are not so clear. It's just one thing you can pinpoint and say that's why Oz became the monster he was. It's a multitude of things that turned him into this.
I hope he's still funny though.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, he's got to stay with the jokes. It does seem like it's going to be harder for him to joke at this point, because I mean the last scene with Eve is just ew, it's yucky. Like, I'm sorry. Not only does Oz need to get got, but Eve, just for putting up with that.
Oh, she's chasing the bag. I don't blame her.
Oh, but God, have some shame. That is some fucked up role play, dude.
And he just put her up there in front of a window. No TV, no nothing.
Dude, that's why, like I said, the endings for all these characters ending in the place that they did not want to be, where she's lost all of her mental faculties, but she can still watch, and she can watch this monster that she helped create wreak havoc, and knowing that she had the opportunity to take him out and didn't.
When she sheds a tear and he's like, I know, Ma. This is where you wanted to be.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Batman fucking... That first punch is going to hit like fucking crack in the 80s.
It's funny because I kept thinking to myself, as much as I want Penguin to be a main villain of one of the Batman movies, part 2, I kind of want to go for like Mr. Freeze and then keep Penguin as the villain of the entire saga. He's the end game boss. But now I'm just like, yo, we just need to take care of this first, and we'll get to Freeze, we'll get to the other guys just after. Like, I don't care about casting, I don't care about just any other news other than Batman fucking up.
I need that applause in the theater to resemble Captain America picking up Mjolnir.
I think it will.
All you nerds that shit your pants when fucking the Human Torch came out in Deadpool. I need you to show up for when Batman just punches the ever-living lights out of Penguin's soul.
Such a fun arc so far with this character, between him being one of the best supporting aspects of the Batman and now getting his own series and having this full-fledged vision of creating a despicable mob boss. It's just been an incredible run so far for this character who, like, he's iconic, as we, just previously said. Everything with Batman feels iconic these days, but now they've taken him to a new level where I think he'll be considered, one of the A-listers for the Batman's Rogues Gallery. So where are you feeling? Where are you leaving this series off? If you had to give it a grade, letter out of 10, 5 stars, 4 stars.
You can go like a nice 4.5, right?
Yeah, that's where I put it on Letterboxd. Yeah, 4.5.
Oh, that shit's on the box?
Yeah, it's on the box. Nice miniseries. Always gets up on the box.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Definitely want to see more, though. I hope they do a season 2. It all depends on what their plan is for Batman Part 2. But like you said, there's so many threads that are still loose that you can end it like this, and I think it still will be satisfying. But if they ever did decide to pick it back up from where we left off. I don't think people would hate that.
I don't think so. And there's definitely room for a season 2. And I think it's, they're going to go based on whether it makes sense for the Batman saga story they're going to tell. So it's obviously in good hands with what we've gotten so far. So wherever direction they go, I'm going to follow as of now. But yeah, we will be continuing our reviews for the Penguin. We'll probably do a season 1 spoiler discussion. We'll take some fan questions. So if you want to submit your questions, follow us on Instagram, because that's where we will be asking for them. And I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting the thoughts of our listeners, of the fans out there, whether they enjoyed it. I imagine most people did. So there's going to be a lot of fun questions and things to talk about on that video. But yeah, the Penguin Season 1, Episode 8 review. We're calling it a wrap. Good season. Great season, some would argue. Aaron, thanks for joining me on this adventure. What are we doing next?
Dune?
Oh, shit. And Dune Messiah. They're saying it's going to start filming next year.
All right, we're a Dune podcast now.
I fuck with that. Yeah. MF Dune.
We're going to talk about Anora for the next few months.
Just every episode we drop is just Anora.
Yeah, let's break down Anora a little bit.
I do love Anora. Like the actual, not just the movie, but like Anora herself.
Man, that's a good one.